Hi guys, welcome back. We are out on a new project today, but it is a building we have been here before. You may recognize this from when we took off the roof and redid the rafters, which was actually about 11 months ago in real time. That was right around Halloween of 2023. We're right at the beginning of October of 2024, and it definitely looks a little different inside. So we are going to get started on the whole reframe, fixing the floor joists. You can see we're missing some spots here from water damage. There'll probably be some other spots that maybe need some sistering or replacement, but it's all cleared out inside now. So gonna replace that stair, new stair to the basement. Then we're gonna need some walls in here, of course, once the floor repairs are made. So we'll take a quick look upstairs. There we got Dave bringing in ladder so we can get started. So these stairs are too steep. They're going to get replaced. It'll push back, get a better rise and run. And then up here is all cleaned out as well. Demo guys did a great job clearing everything out. So get this all fixed up. And then you can see here all that work we did, replacing the roof here, cutting it out. There's a couple of videos on that if you didn't see those. Go back. The demolition here was a lot of fun. So, pretty simple space here. This will be bedrooms up here and a bathroom, couple bathrooms. And then the ceiling will have to go back in, of course. So we're gonna look around, check out what joists need to come out, and then we'll get started filling these big holes in. Hopefully we don't fall through. Then work over to the stair. I don't know if that big radiator is gonna have to move, but we'll be here for a little while. And there's two other buildings right here at this intersection that we'll also be doing some work on. So let's get started. So we just noticed there was wallpaper on the walls here with a brick look, literally on top of brick. Almost as good as the house I saw one time that had brick asphalt shingles over brick. I don't always understand decisions. Well, and good news, we have Jesus Christ our Lord and Savior hanging on a cross watching over our site. Maybe that'll help keep us from falling through holes. First task up is get rid of this one remaining wall here at the steps. So peeling the lath off, there's not a lot holding it in place anymore. And then these 2x4s are not much 2 and not much 4 anymore, so I think they'll knock out pretty easy. Well, and here's the quick look at the basement conditions. Mostly a wide open space, not a bad basement. Typical limestone foundation for around here, and just a concrete floor, which is nice. And a big hole. So the basement steps did used to be right here. There was a side entry since it was a two-family unit. So there were stairs down to the basement from here. That gets closed up. We're going to put new stairs up here. There, interestingly, was sort of a hatch at one point under the front entry here. That will not be reused, kind of sadly. It's kind of a neat thing. So that would have popped up, but it looks like it's been closed up for a while. It's closed over. We'll put a more conventional stair under the front stairs here. But fun, neat little relic from the past, and some spider webs. Well, this lath stripped off in really a matter of minutes. Doesn't take long when it's all loose like that. So, gotta knock the other side off, but it looks like the 2x4s really aren't attached to much.
They're not attached
either.
to anything.
Yeah. It's not structural, so nothing's gonna come crashing down except the wall itself. But yeah, I don't think we can reuse that. Meanwhile, we're not under attack. That is the monthly test of the outdoor warning system, commonly known as tornado sirens. The weather is a delightful autumn day today, so no tornadoes in sight to our knowledge. Unfortunately, there is another big hurricane down in the Gulf of Mexico. Won't come anywhere near here, but hopefully things go well for people that are in the path. Well, time to stop messing around and just cut it. Oh, that is a nice light. I bet we could reuse that. Somehow it didn't get broken by the demo, guys. That's kind of impressive. Alright, well, that didn't take long with the saw and just pulling it apart. Is that your back?
Yeah.
Shoulder?
Shoulders.
There's somehow always more debris. He huffed and he puffed and he pulled the wall down.
The lath was the only thing holding it.
Oh, some of that structural lath again?
Yep.
So we cut it along the stairs. The 2x4s are a little more firm at the bottom, and they are helping hold the stair up, at least until we cut it out, but that's a few days out from now. So we'll leave those 2x4s there for a little bit of support. Well, we're just going to go ahead and take this all the way down because it's not really actually doing much. And we're just going to be gentle on the stairs until we frame in the new stairs. We've shown a couple times in the past how they would often do the stairs. They're house stairs with a single stringer running up, so the trim on each side holds it, but you can see the problem is over time they tend to open up and end up with not nearly as much support. This is not a bad way to build, especially back then. It's clearly strong enough, but you can see where the wedges in the back start opening, and then a lot of the weight ends up on just the single stringer, and in this case it's got some rot up at the top. It's not sitting on quite as much as it should at the bottom, so the rise and run, of course, don't match current code, but we need to replace this regardless just due to the rot and age. So we'll get 4 stringers in there for the new stairs and tie it in a little better at the top and bottom. So we'll be a little bit better once everything's back together. This was built just a little before electric came into common use, so the original light source was gas lamps, and here's an old relic from that. They would run the gas piping up through the floors and down the walls and often into the center of a room, but in this case it's on the side. And then a lot of times they would reuse that pipe for early electric and retrofit the fixtures. Unfortunately, I don't think this is going to get saved, but neat to see. So when electric came in, it would often be knob and tube, as you can see there, and then it would be added onto over time, and they didn't always care and just buried boxes up in the ceiling and created all sorts of interesting messes. So that, of course, is all dead now. It'll all get cleaned up with Nice brand new electric once all the framing's done.
Oh.
Yeah, not too much holding that up anymore. We're considering whether or not we need to pull up all of the flooring here. It's loose, got a lot of issues. Maybe easier just to get the whole thing up. But to start with, we need to remove some floor and other pieces here so we can start figuring out what we need as far as floor joists here. There's quite a sag over in that corner, so it's possible that double joist there needs to be replaced all the way over. But we're going to find out in short order because this floor doesn't seem to take a lot to come up. Unsurprisingly, with the amount of sag that it had over there, the ends of the floor joists over there are rotten where they pocket into the brick wall, so they'll have to be replaced, of course. And it's easy in this front part because, as you can see, there's a beam. It's about 17 feet wide in the front and almost 13 feet wide in the back. And it's all 2x10s, so back here it's well within span rating for 16 inches on center. You can see up here where it's about 17 feet wide, they actually framed it 12-inch on center to allow for the use of 2x10s instead of 2x12s. So pretty tight spacing, and then up here where it headers for the stair goes back to 16 inches on center. So they knew what they were doing to make sure they didn't get any overly saggy conditions, except rot will give you sag. I don't think that joist was too rotten. We could probably just put some Bondo on that, paint it, call it good. Interesting construction here, which I've seen, but it's relatively atypical. So the building to the side came first, and as you can see up and down here, they just butted the brick to it. They didn't even build a wall on, not that this matters to you as the viewer, but the north side of the building. You can even see some light coming through there because it has shifted a little over time. So they actually came and used the exterior wall of the building next door and cut the brick pockets in later. I don't know how much after the building next door was built. They seem to be relatively similar ages. Maybe even the same builder. But that is maybe some of the issue down in this corner with rot. I am not sure what that is dead level to, especially because that's a plumb mark. Maybe it refers to where they put the drop ceiling in, but I do know it is dead. That joist is just shaking, not even in contact at the moment. And the old floor, not even subfloor, it is the floor, is pulling up pretty easily still as we're working back. So just one joist bay at a time, then it pops off really easy. You can handle the pieces nicely that way.
I forgot to nail this section.
Yeah, clearly.
No nails.
Hey, it worked for a long time. So we got to go ahead to just go for all of the flooring removal and replacement here. And based on what we're cutting up and just pulling up with the hammer, there's really no way around it. It also makes things way easier just to replace panel after panel after panel of new subfloor versus trying to say, we cut out this much and then we want to keep a strip up the middle, but this spot is bad right here, so we start cutting around that. And that's bad over there, so we need to replace that. And then we got this middle part, and then we got a little part good back there, but then we cut out other spots. You end up doing more work trying to dance around all the bad spots, maybe keep a little good spot here, good spot there. You actually end up spending more money. So It'll make everything after easier as well. We'll end up with a nice, smooth, maybe not level, but smoother floor to work off of for the new walls and the new finished floor over that and everything above. Not to mention that when it comes up so easy, even if we kept it now, when the owner sells it to the next person 5 years down the road, it's going to keep rotting out, and then somebody's got a big project on their hands and they're mad because they thought they bought a fully renovated house. Floorboards should not come up that easy. They're just basically pulling up with just a little bit of force from the claw of the hammer. Now that one's a little bit more firm, but still.
It's down further down.
Yeah, the overlap was holding it.
All the way.
Well, flooring continues to just pull up here. We're gonna have a bit of a problem soon though. Our pile's going to be in our way, and we don't have a dumpster here yet because this wasn't quite planned for. So what we'll probably do is pull up through here and then leave this middle part. Then we're gonna go pick up some floor joists tomorrow. We'll start infilling here, and then we'll figure out exactly how to work out getting the rest of the subfloor up, start getting the new subfloor down, because we do want to work from the front. So that's a problem for another day. Looks like we're going to kind of jump around between demolition and framing. We're going to go ahead and get the hole filled up on the first floor here, and then we'll continue stripping the old flooring back, and then we can evaluate each joist. These seem decent. We know there's going to be some sisterine. There's a couple bad ends, so they'll vary a little bit. Won't need kind of the wholesale replacement that this middle part needs, but definitely needs some attention. So we're going to get these measured up, get these 16 footers cut down to, unfortunately, just closer to 13 feet. That, kind of is what it is. Working with existing dimensions, sometimes you got to buy much longer lumber than you really need, but lumber is actually kind of cheap right now, so that's not too bad. So we'll get the pockets cleaned out and we'll get started on popping these back in place. So if you're not familiar with full masonry construction, with the floor joists, they just pocket into the brick, and then the brick walls carry the load. So you can see down here and above, same thing. So they are pretty full with debris at this point, especially this guy. We'll get these cleaned out, prepped, ready. They'll also require some shimming. I think you can see a pretty hefty shim they had in right there. So we'll see what exactly we need to even this out. These floor joists seem to vary between 9 1/4 and 9 1/2 inches in depth, which is pretty close to the 9 1/4 standard now. So that should make things easier than typical. And then over here, we're probably going to frame up a little wall. I think this eventually gets a masonry infill, but for the time being, we'll just get a short little stud wall to hold things up here. So the tool of choice for cleaning the pockets out is actually really simple. A flat bar typically fits really nicely into the pockets, and this shim, that shim was in there pretty good. So you can get in there and just basically scrape everything out, clear off around it, and then we'll take the little blower and clean things out nicely after that. Well, as we look back over our little grand chasm, Dave's cleaning up some of the plaster there a little bit, but we got the pockets cleaned out here and blowing clean. So now I'll get a tape across, check what our length is, get it cut there, get them taped up. We'll start popping these in. So in this case, we're putting back in pockets on both sides, and that's a little tricky because when they built this, they just set it as they built the masonry. So they weren't trying to slide it in both sides. This will require kind of finagling it back and forth, but we have 154 inches end of pocket to end of pocket. We have 4 inches out of the pocket bearing, so we'll shorten that up maybe 5 inches, see how that works. Got our first test fit piece in there, and it lines up perfectly. Unfortunately, the first 2 tries did not. I had a weird mismeasure and came up short, and then forgot to take some off for the pocket and came up long, but at least that was an easy solution. So now we just got to replicate this. Right in the storm out.
Oh, that ladder. Oh, ladder's got some room.
Ladder's gonna be in the way.
I know.
All right, we got 3 ready to go here. Oh, well, that's a problem.
Maybe try going in the other side.
Okay, it's got that down short. This side's not as deep. But still, it's high though.
Yeah.
Weird, because those are not high and it's on the same. I pulled it off the. I don't know. We'll trim it down. It'll be fine. It's in the right place.
Well, we trim the board that it's sitting on down a little bit, maybe.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Not the joist.
Yeah.
The board.
Alright, this one's going in.
It should, because that's what we test fit on.
Wait a minute, my ladder's in the way. Nope, my ladder isn't. My ladder will be.
Okay. Third one, a little bit of a stretch.
What?
This one's going to be a touch of a stretch. But it's also a light board, so that's
More
nice.
snap.
You can just reach it. Oh. Okay, that's right. All right, well, good to go except for notching.
We gotta get with the ladder under here, measure not to saw to it, chisel it.
Well, depends how far it goes. We'll see. We'll figure it out one way or another. Speaking of figuring out,
How are you gonna get back?
how do I get back? No. No.
You think you can get the
No.
beam? How about I slide a couple of boards over?
How about, 'cause these are far enough in that they won't tip.
Get up to the beam?
Yeah. It's a good thing we're owner operators, so we're OSHA exempt. Well, we are back at it after a long weekend off. It was planned to be a long weekend, but got a little longer than planned because I got burglarized and lost the majority of my tools. So, working through insurance right now, we'll get those replaced, thankfully. But on the good part of this weekend, my brother got married, and I was the officiant. It's my first wedding. I don't know if it'll become a career, but could be an interesting side hustle. So we had a good, fun weekend of celebrating, but now we got to get back at it. And first task today is we need to frame up a little wall in that spot to allow us to get our 2 floor joists back in place. So we just picked up some pressure treated lumber. We'll get it measured up, figure out exactly what we need, get that going, and we're also going to start cutting up the floor in the rear back here so we can get everything prepped for the dumpster coming later this week. So we're making a little bit of progress today. Got the floor coming up back there. Got masons working out back on the back wall, tuck pointing and some fixes. Then we got this little spot filled in down here. Simple, just pressure treated 2x6s, and then we leveled out side to side as close as possible. This floor is not going to end up perfect, but it'll end up pretty good when we're done. So we'll get 2 joists in there stacked right over the short studs, and then at some point, like mentioned before, that door gets infilled with bricks. So that just completely goes away. Ignore it, never existed. So we're figuring out, we may leave this open for just a little bit because it is our basement access instead of putting the joists in there. And then we're going to come over here and get a hole through up here, and actually some of these joists are going to end up getting replaced. So what we may do is get some of these out, move our ladder over, then we'll get these filled in here. But we are leaving a small path up the middle all the way to the back door because when the dumpster comes, it is going to come into the back. So we'll just kind of work along here with all the debris. So a lot of action out back here, got some grinding up there still, and most of the new mortar is in. So both buildings are getting worked on. We'll be over to the corner building to the right. At some point there's a whole bunch of floor joist replacement, wall rebuilding to go in there, but that is a future project. So moving up to the front here, and the question becomes, how quick can we actually get the stairs in here? We gotta get our mess out of the way, but probably makes sense to get the basement stairs in here pretty quick. On the other hand, if we leave the joists, that gives us something to work off of for getting the new stairs up to the second floor. So we'll think that over, and we do have basement access from the backyard, so if we need to get down there not going through joists, that'll work. So I may have just talked myself into putting the second floor stairs in first. Time to get this mess cleaned up. So we got the front pile, we're gonna carry over our little bridge. We got the back pile we started. And then earlier today, the dumpster company came and dropped a 30-yard dumpster out back. Not quite as close as we wanted. Unfortunately, we weren't here. So goes life. So some of it we can throw up here from the back door. Some of it we'll have to carry over. But we also got electric service installed earlier today. It is not hooked up to the utility yet. That takes a little while, but getting a little closer on that. So we'll start carrying all this out. Oh joy. That's the last of the pile walking out right there. So now that we got everything cleaned up that we already did, we can get back to cutting out more of the subfloor. Got some of this nice rotten floor coming up some more. So over there seems particularly bad. And then this all got water. You can see how it's kind of buckled. You would actually think it would be worse considering how much water it had on it. But we will keep on pulling this up, and we should have no problem getting the rest of this up today, I would imagine. So in addition to the rot, it seems like the nails are pretty much just shot at this point. And, you know, not typically going to pull floor up just with your bare hands, but to our advantage in this case, since it all needs to come anyway. Well, it has actually started raining for the first time in a month, somewhat unexpectedly. Don't send it to the basement. So I guess we'll keep cutting. Looks like it's barely anything. Move through in a few minutes. But I'm made of sugar. I melt in the rain, so we'll wait a few minutes to carry more stuff out to the dumpster, but it's filling up. We're making good progress. Got an island basically up front. And then kind of a peninsula back here. So we'll keep cutting that away. Got maybe, I don't know, maybe not even an hour worth of work to get this floor up. And then we can evaluate the rest of the floor joists. We know we got a few bad in here that need to cut out, but we'll figure it out exactly. The tops look decent. It's more issues at the end, and then some of them back here have some big old notches cut through them. So we'll figure it out. We got the front completely stripped off. And we definitely spotted some joists that need to come out, but a lot easier once the subfloor is off to replace them. And then working on the peninsula back here. Oh, you can keep cutting, it's okay. Seems like we actually got some solidly attached floorboards back here still. And on the whole, top side doesn't look bad. The bottom's not the prettiest ever. Maybe we could have saved it back here, but really at this point, what would be the point of that? We're already doing basically the rest of it, so just carry on. Then it's all nice and even. We can level off the floor joists pretty well. Won't be perfect, but for the kitchen back here, it'll be much nicer for putting cabinets on the new subfloor versus kind of patched in pieces. So we will keep on cutting. Alright, getting down to the end of the peninsula here. Just a couple more cuts, then we are done. Got the last few pieces coming up here. Last board! And peeled right off. Alright, so wide open spaces. Next up is getting the subfloor back down, and then we got to peel up the second floor subfloor. You're looking forward to it, right? Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And here's a quick look from the front. Now that the floor is out, you can see down to the basement everywhere, and you'll see we cleaned up nicely down there. Probably to make a bit of a mess down there again, but don't want to work in your own slop all the time. So next up is, now that we got the subfloor cleared off, we can evaluate all these joists. We know there's several more that are bad besides just that middle part where we started. So we'll get those all checked out, closely looked at for rot and holes and all the various problems that we end up finding. Mark them, cut them out, get everything ready, and start putting new in. But that'll be on the next episode. I think we'll wrap things up here for now. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed what you saw. Got a whole lot more work to come here, so give us a like and a subscription to keep following along, and we will see you on the next video.